I kept waiting. I kept pushing this video far back, just begging, waiting for a decision from the athletic department to, you know, get rid of something like the cancer in this part of the program should be gone. And yet it is now June 15th, and we're headed into yet another season with Amy Williams as the head coach, despite falling backwards for multiple years. Okay, well, you know what? Can't do anything about it. I guess we're just gonna have to go into next season with whatever this is. Okay. So the year started out good, of course. Obviously, because we scheduled a pretty easy, pretty mediocre schedule of a tournament, or of a non-con. There's really no opponents in there. I mean, we're facing shit like North Dakota State, who, yes, they did at least win the regular season of the Summit League, but they didn't even represent. You know what? They lost to fucking South Dakota State. So, we only beat them by 12. Like Oral Roberts, 500. Omaha, which, I mean, you have to play Omaha. I mean, come on. Illinois State, like, I mean, at least they made it like pretty far in the NIT, the WNIT. I mean, that doesn't fucking matter because it's a useless tournament. Uh, Samford, they made it, but then lost to Southern in the first four. Okay. What about Northwestern State? They actually, wow, they actually finished about 500. Good job, you did it. I thought your program was dead. It's not. Wooten. We beat Creighton, which, I mean, for a Creighton team that went 16 and 15, you best believe that you beat them. Even though they had a great run into the end of the season, they ran into the Stonewall of UConn. So, yeah, they were not going much farther. But there was. There was one saving grace, and it wasn't Bradley. Sadly, they lost both of their postseason games. No. It was Virginia. So that random tournament where we played in Niceville, Florida, or however you call it, beating Purdue Fort Wayne, potentially having the chance to face Northwestern State again for some reason, but instead we faced Virginia. And going into the game, I'm like, okay, you just have to beat Virginia. They weren't expected to do much. But then they popped up with an 8th place finish in the ACC. Got some nice, mediocre wins. Not a whole lot of ranked wins because there really wasn't. But they did get one. They beat Louisville. So, wahoo, you beat Louisville. One of 2 ranked games that they played all season. We played significantly more ranked games. Oh, no, they played 3. Sorry, they lost to Vanderbilt. Whoops. But then, even after shitting it in the first game of the ACC tournament, they go on a run. They also made it to the first 4. Then beat Georgia, which, yeah, fuck you. Beat that, and fuck you, Georgia. And then beat Iowa in double overtime. So, you know what? It's a transitive win over Iowa. I don't know how you didn't beat Virginia, guys. We did it on a neutral site. You did it at home. Idiot. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. That is the only saving grace of the schedule, is that we played one Power 5 team that wasn't Creighton. We beat them, and then they went on to do great things. All right, we got one good win. Yeah, good. All right, that's the only saving grace, because then we have to talk about that god awful Big Ten. And I understand. Okay, you have to play teams like USC a good amount. Then you play at Iowa, and you only lose by 10, which, I mean, I understand, but also you started out so well. and then you just shit it in the second half. Surely that's not a fucking trend, right? I mean, at least you can beat the teams from the state of Indiana. They're trash. I mean, Purdue, 13-17. You couldn't even beat Purdue Fort Wayne. Okay, Indiana. Oh, I'll talk about Indiana later. All right, but then it's you finally get the California schools to come to you, and you still lose by 20, which is better than last season. I'll give you that, but also you're on the precipice of ranked. Like, come on, we gotta have better. So obviously, we move up a spot, and then we lose by 2 at Michigan State. This isn't a part of the, we beat them in men's basketball. They beat us in women's. The thing is that we had a chance. We just needed to not foul them in the last minute, and we would have won. That was by far the most agonizing loss. Mostly because around, at that exact same time I was looking at the, score play-by-play, I was sitting in a Freddy's parking lot, and my dad's car battery was having a fun time. It later died the next day, and we had to get a replacement for it. So, that was not fun. That was not fun sitting in a Freddy's parking lot in January. I mean, it wasn't really that cold because January's kind of moved. Coldness has moved February, but also losing like that, even after taking a lead with 54 seconds, and you lose on 4 free throws. We had the chance to have like one saving grace that would have put us not on the fucking bubble. Nope. But hey, we got Wisconsin. Oh, nope, we lose that one. All right, at least we beat the next 2 teams from the state of Illinois, who are. Actually, Illinois finished ahead of us, and also at least won an NCAA tournament game against a legitimate opponent. So, good job. That's okay. Northwestern. Oh, who am I kidding? You don't have any basketball programs. They wouldn't even win a game after us. No, their last win was against Wisconsin. That's how bad Wisconsin is. But whatever, it's fine. And then you have three straight ranked opponents, 2 of them on the road. Okay, get blown out by Ohio State. Okay, no saving grace there. Lose to Michigan despite having the lead in the first half. Hey, that's a trend I've seen before. You finally figure out at some point during the season to start mopping. Good. Good. I've been waiting for that. Then lose to Maryland at home by a lot. They basically just won the first half and then shut everything down in the fourth quarter. We actually beat them in the fourth quarter because they only scored 8 points, but we can only score 14. So, yeah, Nestle breakout game. Good job. And, during this entire time, we were waiting for one figure to show up. Natalie Potts. We're like, okay, maybe she'll come back after non-con. I mean, after all, she definitely wasn't needed for non-con. We won all the games. So, you know what? And all these close games, like Wisconsin, Michigan State, even maybe like USC or Iowa, she could have been the difference. And then around the time it was revealed that, around mid-February, she's not playing for the rest of the season because her knee is totally fucked. Great. And you know what? With these new eligibility rules, if they didn't put in the clause that said that, players from before could, choose which one, if they got rid of that, those 2 years would have been reduced to atoms, and you've only had 2 years left instead of 4. It's a wasted season because you're having a fucking roster spot being taken up by someone that is not playing or was barely even practicing from what I remember. Like, what did you do to your knee? It wasn't like the injury was late into the previous season. It was against North Alabama in the first half of November. So, we're not grasping for straws here. And then we finally play an unranked opponent, which would eventually become a ranked opponent because Minnesota actually figured out how to play ball. They would have been ranked if they didn't. They needed to beat Rutgers by more than 11. I think that's the reason. Despite the fact that they beat Iowa in that same time span. I don't know, man. They would win, like, it was in there in the midst of, like, a 10 game winning streak. So, there's something like that. We lose to them, of course, because why would we not lose that? But then we have to finally take our trip to the West Coast. But it's a much easier road trip because we're not facing the California teams. We're facing Oregon and Washington, who are still good, but they're not that. So we lose to Oregon by 4, despite controlling the game in the first 3 quarters. Blow it in the fourth. But then, in the Washington game, as soon as we looked down at it, as soon as it looked like we were going to finally get rid of the coach that has been holding back and has been mediocre at recruiting. I mean, maybe she's good at recruiting. I don't know. These players somehow want to stay. We win by 1 point against a team that would actually finish in the top 25. Brett Prince, after we gave up a layup with 17 and a half seconds, Brett Prince fathered one of the players for a 3-pointer. I guess the correct term is mothered. And then we win the final game because it is against, what do you know, Rutgers, who wasn't even eligible for the fucking Big Ten tournament, let alone anything else. Their only win was against Penn State. How bad are you, Penn State? What the fuck happened? But then we have to get to the pain and suffering. So, in my mind, we have to win one Big Ten tournament game to deserve a spot in the NCAA tournament. And we lose that by blowing a massive first half lead. At the end of the first half, I was like, okay, you finally showed up. Good. I don't know why you keep starting Bojan, but good. You finally showed up. And then in the second half, they just died and lose by 3. They died. They simply died. They led the entire game, and they lost it with a minute left in the game. What are we doing? What are we? Okay, all right, fine. We're out of the tournament. It's fine. Psych, fuck you. Because of that Virginia win, or maybe the Washington win, or something like that, we were suddenly back into the NCAA tournament. Not ahead of Virginia on the ladder because it's the NCAA. It doesn't have to make sense, but still in the first 4 to play against the third place team in the Atlantic 10. The second place team didn't even make it. They lost to George Washington. How the hell did they make it here? Oh, they have a good player? Okay. Cool. That's fine. Who's that? Dugan? I think she actually got drafted into the WNBA, so woohoo. It didn't really matter. The first half was pretty tepid. I'm like, oh god, are we seriously gonna fucking lose to these guys? But then the 27-6 fourth quarter just put everything to bed. Can't even blow that lead. Good job, guys. So we did this in North Carolina. Yeah, Durham, North Carolina. We were at the Tar Heels place. But now we were not to face the Tar Heels. We were to face the Baylor Bears. In the first half, we actually looked up to par. I mean, that first quarter was pretty god-awful. But the second quarter, I mean, okay. I mean, you somehow take a lead. Okay, cool. But then the third quarter started mediocre. Then, oh my god, you're actually leading at the end of the third? Are you actually gonna prove your job worth? Are you going to actually win a legitimate NCAA? No. What did you expect? Fuck you. We blow that fourth quarter. And that is how the season ends. In the exact same goddamn place that we did last season in the round of 64. All right. What are we doing here? I get. She might be able to recruit some players. Brett Prince is somehow still staying at this dumpster fire. A bunch of other players decided to come back, including Potts, but I feel like that's just out of obligation to, exist, I guess. We finished with double-digit losses in the Big Ten. The only reason why we made it in is because they really just want to put in any Big Ten team, and we qualified with almost 20 wins. So that was good enough. That was somehow good enough because we went undefeated out of non-con, so no one could say that we, I don't know, something, I guess. Because of that, we made it, won a play-in game, and that was it. And now with the expansion of the play-in games, we're probably going to make it with a similar record. Oh, no. Because I think the problem is that the in-game coaching decisions by this coaching staff ruin the mentality of the players. I have a lot of gripes with some of the players. I feel like some of them just don't know how to shoot the ball. Sometimes they kind of just turn off on defense. But that doesn't help when the schematics just kind of fall apart in the second half of every single game. No matter the lead, no matter if we're in a deficit, the second half is always just not there. I thought they demonstrated, actual second half capabilities against Richmond, for once, but they still lost that fourth quarter, so you can always do better. Like, what? Those late game decisions against the Spartans killed the only good win, and the win that could have potentially gotten you a better seeding in the NCAA tournament. You fumbled that game because of just strange schematic decisions out there. And whatever works against the likes of Oral Roberts and Omaha, which, by the way, in that Omaha game, we spotted Omaha like a 10-point lead. We legitimately tried to throw that game, and they still only scored 27 afterwards. Whatever you're trying to do in the Big Ten is just not working. And the different leagues principle doesn't really apply. There honestly is not too much of a difference in the talent between us and USC. I'm not going to say UCLA because that's an actual different league. There isn't much of a talent difference between us and USC. But what USC has is above average in-game coaching decisions. We have bottom tier in-game coaching decisions. Because I believe a core of, Brett Prince and the other gaggle are able to actually do things during the game, but the coaching staff just overthinks everything in that second half, and the team just dissipates against actual real basketball competition. Most of our out of the 7 wins we had, only one of them was a win that I would actually cling on to as a good one. 1.5. Maybe we'll add, a little bit of that Illinois game. But that really was just because that was the expectation because they were an unranked opponent. All right, you got to beat the unranked opponents, and then you blew that against Wisconsin. That's where the wheels fell off. So, I get I get the Big Ten is hard, but I truly believe that the talent difference is very minimal between us and USC. There is not too much of a talent difference. But what the difference is coaching. And yet we did not make a single coaching change. Not an assistant that I can remember. Not a head coaching change. And again, that lawsuit is still hanging over our fucking heads. Alright? That fucking assistant that got fired admitted to being in a sexually inappropriate relationship with a college basketball player. That is still hanging over our heads. And it's been fucking years and you haven't said shit about it. You haven't come out with any sort of statement maybe you came out with a statement denying it, but you haven't come out in a statement saying that there will be any repercussions for it. You're in the lawsuit. I know that. And the athletic director responsible for covering it up is gone. Most of the people involved are, distancing themselves. But the one person, the big person that enabled this is still here coaching at Nebraska. And in this modern day and age where information is, pretty much everywhere, a good amount of people either know about this and don't care or just actively ignore it. When I feel like it should be a very pressing issue that one of our coaches enabled that, and then to basically enable the other players to gang up on her to out the relationship in a way that hurt her career? Why? I don't understand. That lawsuit will hold up. Will be held over this team until we actually act. Why is the acting part of it so difficult for a coach that is hurting our in-game decisions? Okay? By far, out of all of the sports, all of the main big five sport, hold on. Five. Football, volleyball, men's and women's basketball, big six. Men's and women's basketball, baseball, and softball. Out of all 6 of those, you were by far the worst one. You were the one that I dreaded seeing the notification on my phone saying that they were playing. Because I was like, shit, I'm going to get disappointed again. Because I know that they can fucking win those games. But they just were not. And it's because of the in-game coaching decisions. And you add on top of that the lawsuit. This should have been an easy firing. But instead, we make the tournament for no damn reason, win a layup, and then lose another goddamn layup. What are we doing? What are we doing? What? It just pisses me off that it's not just that the program has slipped for now 3 straight years. It's the fact that there's still the lawsuit, and it seems like the administration just doesn't give a shit. And I hate talking about it, but I have to talk about it because it's the big thing that is still holding this program up. Coaching. And the coach enabled that. So what are we, why? What is, you were easily able to fire coaches like Mike Riley, who, had one good season, but then started out terribly. You were willing to fire them, but not the coach that has had a similar amount of seasons of regression as Michael Riley had total. Really? Yeah. This is why I really dread this. I'm able to do baseball and softball simply because baseball, I mean, I can always just point to the regular season success and be like, okay, I mean, that's something to build upon. You just need to stop choking in the NCAA tournament. Here, softball, they actually won trophies for once. Did a double. Good job. This, they won one stupid in-season tournament that doesn't really matter because it was only 2 games. They shit it against Wisconsin, our second biggest rival in the Big Ten. You shit a lot of games against the ranked opponents. You get 0 ranked wins on the season, ranked at the time. You get 2 layups and you lose one of them. 3 layups in the Big Ten tournament and 2 in the NCAA tournament, and you lose those. Okay, well, where's the, I know there's, it's always hard to find, changes, but you know what? There are coaches that are qualified to, be head coaches. The one thing that we did do in the assistants realm, we did hire a Division III head coach to be an assistant. An actual good Division III assistant coach. Division III head coach. They won a lot of things. They won trophies. They've won, I think they won a national championship. I'm not sure. But they won things. And I don't know. Maybe that'll help with that. That's like the one thing that I'm glad I waited until is like, okay, we hired the one coach. Maybe that fixes, maybe they just whip everyone into shape and, say, this is what you need to do. Ignore that. Do this. Maybe that's going to suddenly make the players do well. I mean, I know we got some tall girl from Auburn or whatever, but they barely played, so who knows. Auburn's not good, by the way. So maybe that will help getting a well-renowned Division III coach or whatever. But if that doesn't change shit, we need to chop some heads because I feel bad for Brett Prince. Like, she's the one carrying this program for the most part. The only reason why it is relevant at all. She has the prospect at some point to make it to the WNBA, which is something that no other player seems to be, capable of doing. All of our seniors are going to the fucking Australian League, which, I mean, sure, they probably pay them a good amount. But in terms of prestige, not really. All of them just kind of fizzle into assistant coaches elsewhere. It's just annoying to me that we are sitting here after another year of mediocre and nothing has really changed. I would rather have the change be now when we're still, playing above 500 regular season than when we are sitting at 16 and 18. Just, 16, 18. I just rather not have to deal with garbage. That's just my personal opinion. I just rather would not deal with garbage if we do continue to slip. Because then, that just makes the firing too easy, even though we just needed to deal with it now, get the lawsuit out of our heads, because almost all the players are gone from that incident, and move on. Because if the case was not factual, it would have already gone away. But it's been years, and he admitted to it. So, what are we waiting for? That's just my thoughts. I don't know. Maybe you guys have thoughts on it, but I think I'm done rambling about the biggest trash fire in this athletics. Yeah. I say football is more promise than the women's basketball team, and that's all I have to say. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I hope they do. And yeah, I guess we'll see you in December. Goodbye.